they hit it off, and a year later, this guy became an investor in this company, and this company is now a publicly limited company. So again, the simple task of asking for something. So in our lives, we all need many, many things, right? We need, if I'm running an education institution, I need blackboards, whiteboards, I need benches, and of course I need money, I need teachers. Can you think of an affordable loss proposition for some of your funders and go ask that to the funders? Right? And can you then proposition your ask in such a way? Right? So that's the second interesting principle, the affordable loss principle. The third principle is what she calls as the crazy quilt principle. Very interesting one. So what she says is, as we begin our journeys, each of us have a model of a thing that we want to build. Now, let's say I am in, I'm just saying, if I take Subhash's examples, I'm working on financial literacy for farmers, right? So I will go and say, listen, I will do only financial literacy for farmers, and I won't do anything else. So I'm saying the quilt or the chadar is a red chadar, is a financial literacy chadar. Let's say, I'm just giving an example. Let's say Subhash meets with Madhavi, who says, hey, I'm doing healthcare awareness camp for women, right? Now, one way for Subhash is to tell Madhavi, listen, you're doing healthcare for women, I'm doing financial literacy for farmers. There's no way that these two can work. We can't work together. Thank you very much. But there's another way to think about it, which says Subhash can tell Madhavi that, listen, you're doing healthcare for women, I'm doing financial literacy for farmers. Why don't we go together to the farmer, to the woman's family, and if he's a farmer, you do healthcare for the women, I'll do financial literacy for the farmer, we can collaborate, right? So what happens then is, what Madhavi is doing is blue, and as an example, as a blue patch on the quilt, what Subhash is doing red, but there's a way you can build it together and make a much larger impact rather than each of us going alone. So what Saras talks about is that every entrepreneur is always on the lookout to saying, how will I collaborate with the guy next to me? Even if he's not doing financial literacy as an example, but doing healthcare awareness, is there a possibility of collaborating? And as you start collaborating with a bunch of people, the quilt starts getting built up. But it's not one red quilt. It's blue, it's yellow, it's green, it's black or whatever. But you are able to build that whole thing out, right? So collaboration is the key, and she says, follow the crazy quilt, never ever say no to any possibility, and always keep thinking of how do I collaborate with the other person, right? That's the third principle. And the fourth principle is very interesting again. She says, she calls it as the lemonade principle. In the US, there's a saying which says, when life gives you a lemon, which means when life gives you failure, it gives you a lemon. What she says is, when life gives you a failure, make a lemonade and drink it. So she says, embrace failures. In this process, you will win some, you will lose some, you will meet some partners who work out, some partners who don't work out, somebody who will agree to your affordable loss principle, some you don't. Instead of avoiding failures, go and embrace failures, fail fast, fail forward. Life gives you a lemon, no problem, fall, get up, move again. The tenacity of purpose is what keeps the entrepreneur going, and never ever give in to failures. And she says that trait was the most stringent and the most strongest trait she saw in every entrepreneur, that they were always willing to take risks, fail, but move forward. If you look at it from a corporate world, it's a very different experience, right? We are all taught in the corporate side or the usual side of thinking to say, don't fail. You have to minimize risk. Right? You have to figure out how not to fail. And we are all, by definition, being trained not to fail. Right? Flip it around and say, I'll do 10 experiments, I'll fail in 9, but I will learn, and the 10th one will be successful. How do you move forward from there? And the last principle, she calls it as a pilot in a plane. She says, when you're piloting a plane, you have no idea where, if you have a co-pilot and both of you have control, you have no idea where the plane is going. Essentially, you're co-creating the pathway as you're piloting the plane, right? So when you apply all of these principles, you can never really predict the future because you are creating the future as you go along. So instead of trying to create the future, can we predict the future? Can we create the future? And therefore, you become like a pilot in a plane where you take off and say, listen, if the wind is blowing this side, as long as I know where I'm headed to broadly, I will navigate my way and somehow get there. And that she calls it the pilot in a plane principle. When you apply these 5 principles together, it's a very profound, it looks very simple, but these are common mistakes that we make every day as entrepreneurs. And I'm saying every change maker in the world, every individual in the world has to be entrepreneurial. Whether you're a father or a housewife or a social change maker or a corporate executive or a student in a college, it behooves us for us to think entrepreneurially, and if you apply these principles to everyday life that we lead, right, we will be automatically thinking entrepreneurially and moving towards the success that we need to hit. So that's the principles that I try and apply every day in every interaction. So for example, we all struggle to hire people. One of the things Saras taught me was, when you're hiring people, never ever get into this aspect of saying, I will tell you what you do, you tell me how much you pay for, and I will sign up. That's the usual recruitment process. What Saras says is, how can you run a different recruitment process where you work with this guy and say, what can we co-create together? Right? What will it take for us to go down this path, and how much should we pay to get down to this thing, and let's co-create that together. Right? So the whole aspect changes when you have any conversation on an entrepreneurial sort on what do we need to do to apply these principles in conversations with people, and how do we align everybody to these entrepreneurial principles. As I said, I think it is even more critical in the social world we live in the social impact of the social change-making world we live in, to apply these principles, because we are making a difference. So Subhash, to your question, if you are to apply the affordable loss principle, or if you are to apply the crazy quilt principle to the problem that you stated, that urban guys don't want to focus on rural, they're focused on urban issues, how do I get them to focus on rural issues? Can we apply some of these principles to figure out how can you get 1 or 2 guys who are able to say, hey, I think there's a way to collaborate with Subhash on it, and here is how I can do that. Right? So I think there are possibilities. The other part is that, the question that Madhavi is asked, of saying that, the social and entrepreneurial world, when I moved from Manipal, where my company got acquired by Manipal Education, and I moved into Henry Foundation, GAP, as well as I run a rural enterprise, a social enterprise called OneBridge, where we are trying to create a last mile delivery and sales access and entrepreneurs in villages across the country. I was asked, so how is life different on the social side of things? And I struggled to answer that question for several months, because I was trying to figure out what is different. When I moved from a corporate or a commercial world to a social world. And I also did a 1-year stint as an advisor to Tata Trust, when I got to see several of the high impact programs very closely. And I've come to the conclusion that there's nothing called as a social enterprise. Hey, can you hear me now?
We can.
Super, thank you. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. Pranab?
Yeah, we can hear you, Madan.
Oh, lovely. Okay, cool. So as I was mentioning, I don't know whether the last part I'll just repeat. I was saying that if we view ourselves as entrepreneurs, and saying that every entrepreneur has a social obligation to make the world around us better, and we will do whatever it takes to make it happen and apply all of these entrepreneurial principles, then we'll be able to convince everybody around us that, listen, there is a way that where you can feel good and do good and make good money. Unfortunately, the world has been cleaved into only 3 parts, right? Either you can feel good, which is philanthropists who write checks and say, I've just written a check, I'm feeling good about it. Or you're doing good, like many of us in the social, the NGO world who say, I just want to do social impact, I don't care about money, but I'm still struggling for money. Or in the commercial world where there is a way in which a lot of money is being made people don't feel good or do good, I think there's a model waiting to be explored in each of our lives where you can do good and feel good and make good money. What you do with the money is completely on the structure that you have, whether it's a trust, you'll reinvest or whatever. But it has to be sustainable. And I think each of us have to discover that model where we can do good and feel good and make good money. And I think that's when the world won't be into two pieces, but it'll all be in one, where each of us are attempting to make a change in lives, in areas around it, and lives around us where we can make a huge difference. Right? So, that's what I wanted to share, given that, we have a few more minutes, about 10 minutes more. I wanted your comments, thoughts, questions, whatever, that we can chat and spend the next 5-10 minutes on this. I think I've got my video back again as well. Okay, so please shoot your questions, thoughts, and we'll take it along. So, yeah, good to see the IM and some questions coming in. Or do you recommend any books that we should read? Tons and tons of recommendations. I mean, there's no end to it in terms of the recommendations. But if I look at it, some of the books that have really influenced me over the last few months, and I only remember the books that I will. For example, I'm reading a book now which is fascinating on the power of grit. So this lady called Angela Duckworth, who's a UPenn professor, who talks about the basic aspect of how do we turn to be gritty entrepreneurs, right? All of us are facing challenges every day on several of the issues, right? So what can we do, and how do we behave, and how do we develop grit in ourselves and as a cultural organization to be able to get up every day, face failures, and move forward the next day? I think it's a fascinating research book on how do you develop grit in organizations, and I would definitely recommend that because all of us need to be gritty entrepreneurs. Some of the biographies of people, I found it to be very, very interesting. For example, there's a book on Amazon on Jeff Bezos, and how Jeff Bezos thinks to solve challenges at scale. It's not about Amazon, it's not about e-commerce that I'm doing, but how do you think as an entrepreneur? And I found that to be fascinating in the way Jeff Bezos has been able to think and structure his thoughts. Similarly, I've been reading a book on Elon Musk, the guy who built Tesla, SpaceX, who's now building the Hyperloops. It's fascinating to watch somebody who can conceive large-scale plans which have never been done before to solve challenges at big scale. So that's another book that I would recommend. I was also very, very inspired by the book on Amul and the kind of odds he faced in building Amul as a cooperative. So there's lots to learn from stories of these great people. And for one, I'm very inspired to, I find it very inspiring to read about such stories where you can reflect on your own journeys and figure out how even by 0.01% can emulate them, right? So just rambling, but I'm just saying every book has its own set of nuggets and wisdom. So please read as many books as you can. Subhash, we should definitely take this offline. You're saying this is a crazy quilt that you're applying. We're connected with 350,000 farmers. How can we create value for them? I have 200,000 consumers who are on my network in Karnataka. How can we take financial literacy for them is another question I'll ask. I'm sure when we talk, there must be at least some, 100 things we can do together. So we should chat. Let's take this offline. If you share your coordinates with me separately, I'll drop you an email and let's chat up in the next couple of days itself. Right. So I want to ask you guys a question as you guys are thinking. So if you were to look at yourself as entrepreneurs, and just, I'm not putting any, all of us are social change makers. And if you think of yourself as change makers, as entrepreneurs, if you were to just take a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate yourself as entrepreneurs on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest? How would you rate your own entrepreneurial skills? You can just type a number. Right. So let's get some poll to figure out, what's your own sense. So Subhash is a 5. Sachin 3, 2.5. 3, okay. Yeah. So we're getting some responses. I'm only saying, guys, reflect after this call when you have the time to say if somebody is at a 2.5 or a 3 or a 4, what is missing that will make it a 5? And therefore, what do you need to learn? What do you need to acquire skills for? And how do you need help? And I'm sure at Gap, and I'm wearing my Gap hat now with Prarabh, Chitranjali and the rest of the gang, we should be able to create opportunities for you to learn to be a 5. I believe that every change maker must proudly say that I am an entrepreneur and I'm at a 5 and I have the skills to be an entrepreneur, because that's when we can solve the problems. So please feel free to write in of what else do you need from us at Gap to help you become a 5-pointer, right? I'm just using 5 points as a metaphor, saying what can we do to help you become better entrepreneurs. You're all doing phenomenal work in the way that you're all doing. How do we help you to accelerate that? What can we do in terms of learning, coaching, mentoring, experts? Give us feedback so that we can act on that to say, Madhavi, you said you're a 3. If you do A, B, C, D, E, you can improve. Let's help you do some parts of it, as an example. So if you give us that feedback, we'll be able to structure better programs and better inputs for you so that you can take it and move forward and accelerate faster. Right? I saw one more comment by Sachin, which says to afford affordable loss for another person, we need to know the other person well. Absolutely. Right? We need to be able to craft our ask by knowing what the affordable loss for the other person is. And if they don't agree, nothing to lose, you try back again. You go and say, okay, this didn't work with you. What else can I pitch you? Right? So, one of my investors used to be in insurance, and he used to say, when as an insurance agent, you talk to someone, you just don't look at him as an insurance customer. You look at him in 4 views. You say, either you can buy insurance from me, or you know somebody else who can buy insurance from me, or you can become my agent, or you can refer someone who can become my agent. So what they were saying is, when you meet somebody, you never let go of an opportunity to get something out of that person, right? So like that, every interaction we do, either they can help you or they can find someone who can help you, either they can work with you or you can work for them. So if you look at it, there are myriad of possibilities with every interaction you do. How do you ensure that every interaction you do with anybody, you or that person goes back better off, right? So if you think of it that way, then all of us are operating on an affordable loss principle. Absolutely, Sachin, I agree. Understanding other person is not a short-term task, right? It takes time, but it also takes a lot of research. You know, I've been in sales all my life, and I've met a lot of salespeople who go into a sales call without even understanding whom we are meeting. You know, what drives this guy? You know, what does the company looking for? What does his KRA look like? Right? Obviously, you can't ask all these questions, but even 10% we can actually find some research. Okay, I'm back. So, but even if we do some basic research, you're closer to understanding the guy rather than going in blind. Cool. Prarabdh, I think we are almost out of time now, right? 7:30 is when we needed to end. So if there are any last questions, I can take it, or happy to connect up with you otherwise.
So Madan, I think we have one question coming up from Madhvi, so just
Sure.
wait for it.
Sure. And in the meanwhile, Subhash, if you can just send me an email and connect up, let's chat up. Madhvi, appreciate it. Thank you. In fact, there's a lovely TED talk by Saras Saraswati. You can just Google Saras Saraswati. There's a complete section. She runs a website called Effectuation. You can Google Saras Saraswati and type Effectuation. She has got a wonderful TED talk worth listening to. Wonderful, folks. Thank you very much for spending this time, and wish you all the very best. Good luck and Godspeed. And from Gap, happy to help and work with you guys in any which way to accelerate your journeys. Thank you.
Thank you, Madan, for taking out this time from your schedule and sharing this wealth of the information with all the change makers. I hope it was really helpful for everyone. And thank you.
Thank you.
Please join us for our rest of the sessions, which will continue till 10th. And we're looking forward to your participation. We'll also be sending you a feedback link very soon, and we will also post the recordings on our Gap website. So please go and visit and fill the feedback forms and also watch the videos. Otherwise, thank you again.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.